What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 157 presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of the greatest playoffs in the world, the Stanley Cup playoffs. My name is Vinny Parisi and I am still super annoyed that the New Jersey Devils did not make the playoffs. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller and he's got the draft lottery to come up looking forward to here in a couple weeks. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. I like that hat.
Thank you.
I like that hat.
This hat is from Anaheim, where the Mighty Ducks currently reside.
It's got that Anaheim fresh smell when you put it on for the first time.
Absolutely. I've had the hat for just over a year. I'm shocked you've never seen it.
Nope.
Absolutely. I've worn it on the show. Probably backwards, though.
I think that's my favorite hat you own.
You think? Wow. Yeah. Wow, you like it that much.
Besides the one we got you, the Devils one. But
that one's got a little special place in your heart.
But no, but that one. Whew, it's a nice one. I love the color. It's got some of the best colors, and wow, that's a beauty.
Did you get your BOGO Chipotle this week?
I did not, but I knew if you wear a hockey jersey, you got it. But no, it's funny. Tony did. He went in there with a Hawks jersey on.
Love that.
Paula and Tom, say hello. 39 days to go.
39 days.
What do you think about that, VP?
Who's your favorite number 39 ever?
It's gonna sound dumb, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I got one. It's not a prominent sports number.
I'm gonna look up.
I got one.
Okay.
There's a captain in the NHL who wears number 39. Okay. But he's not fresh in your memory because he played 0 games this season due to injury.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's Logan Couture. Bum, bum.
Huh.
I can't really think of another 39, though.
I'm on a website, the best player to wear 39. I've never even heard of this guy.
Who?
It's between any sport, the best player in any sport to wear 39. It's from the NFL. Larry Sonka.
Oh, yeah. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, Hall of Famer. Don't know who he is. He was on that undefeated Finns team when they won the Super Bowl 7, I believe. Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is. If that's the best player to wear it, then, 39 must be pretty piss poor.
Are you on pigskinandpatch.com?
No, I was on Bleacher Report.
Oh, because those were all...
Cristobal Huet.
Cristobal Huet was number 39, and then Eddie Jackson was 39 on the Bears before switching to 4 when they took away the rule that you had to have a number based on your position. That rule went away.
It's a stupid rule. I don't like that rule.
It's long gone. The only reason I liked it was because I was used to it. When it changed, it was confusing. Like, a defensive back can be a single-digit number now.
But it didn't make sense. Like, what are we doing? Like, why? Easier for the refs?
I honestly think that is what it was. Because you knew a wide receiver wouldn't be number 62. But now one could be, in theory. I'm looking at MLB number 39s. How did we even get to 39? 39 more days. Oh, funny. That's right. White Sox GM Chris Getz wore number 39 as a member of the White Sox back when he was a player.
Did he really?
He was about the same level of player as he was GM. Stinky.
Or missing a big one.
Well, I know.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I didn't realize that as a member of the Kansas City Royals and Toronto Blue Jays, friend of the program, Liam Hendricks wore number 39, but he was not number 39 with the White Sox.
Hold on. This is a biggie if true. Yep. How do we forget about this? Dominic Hasek.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is correct.
It's a biggie.
That is correct. I got all the baseball players pulled up here. I'm sure there's more hockey players because, odd numbers in sports are awesome. 39 isn't like a prominent. It's not like a milestone number of any kind. But if you score 39 goals in the NHL or hit 39 home runs in the MLB, you might be annoyed you didn't get that extra one to reach 40, but you'd still be pretty happy with the season that you had.
So Hasek's got to be the best to wear 39 by far, right?
In hockey,
That's what I meant in hockey. Yeah.
maybe even in any sport, because anybody else I named,
He
I'm
had 6 Vezinas. I mean, come on.
yeah, he's one of the. I think people can't agree on who the greatest goalie of all time is, but most people agree it's one of Brodeur, Watt, or Hasek.
Yeah. So it's
I would go Brodeur, but I fully admit I'm a billion% biased.
that's fine.
But like, it's an argument to be had um, for Hasek for sure. So yeah, very interesting. Number 39, 39 days till we leave for our vacation. We will not have an episode of Bardown that week. Maybe we'll pre-record one though. I always love doing that, and then watching it back while I'm on vacation. That's always a fun time for me. But Frank, we got business to take care of before we leave Dwight Howard. Yep. 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 Absolutely. Good call. Good pull. Frank, we got business to take care of though before we start thinking about vacation. I'm sorry. We got a lot of business to take care of before we get there. And we will start that business in period number 1. Welcome to period 1, Frank. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, we knew the Eastern Conference matchups during our last show. We did not know our Western Conference matchups during our last show. And guess what? We previewed 2 whole ass series that aren't happening.
I know. We
Which
thought
is
it was going to be what it
wow.
was, and then the Knights laid an egg.
Against.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
And then I thought the Hawks were going to do their part to make the Knights happy anyway. And then they kind of blew the lead to the Los Angeles Kings. Was it Kempe who scored in overtime?
Yep.
That real late night game.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the comeback effort for the Hawks and the fact that they were even in that game. I'm not mad at them in any way, shape, or form. I'm actually happy because my Oilers have not a breeze to the Western Conference Finals, but like if they don't make the Western Conference Finals, that's like a jaw-dropping disappointment because they'll have the winner of the weaker series. I just think it all worked out for the Oil with the way it shook out for Vegas and LA. But Frank, we're not there yet. We're in the Eastern Conference. The New York Rangers are taking on the Washington Capitals.
Yep.
And guess what? I think we both picked Rangers in 5. I might even said sweep.
No, I said 6.
You said 6. Either way, we both think the Rangers are going to win. Right now, it looks like
no,
it could
I
be
said Capitals in 6.
Oh, did I pick the Cap? I might have picked the Capitals on the show.
Yeah, I picked them in the bracket and the.
Oh, I changed a couple of my picks in the bracket from what I said on the show, and that is a cowardly move of me because I come on the show and I want to shit talk the Rangers, which is what I do. But I definitely picked the Rangers in my bracket in 5. What a flip. I picked Washington to win the series on the show, and then I ended up picking the Rangers in a short series. Now I'm leaning it could be a sweep. Like the Washington Capitals, they could go down as one of the worst teams to ever make the playoffs in the NHL. Their goal differential in the regular season was terrible. Ovechkin was real hot in the second half of the season. That helped propel them in. John Carlson was playing well. They got good goaltending, but the New York Rangers, they're beating them. It's really funny. I've never seen a team dominate a series more without looking scary, like going forward. And that's how I feel about the New York Rangers having a 2-0 series lead over the Washington Capitals. But what are your thoughts?
The teams that go up 2-0 in a series win the series 89% of the time. Plus, you go down to a team that has the best record in the NHL this season. You go down 2-0. So that's a tough pill to swallow for the Washington Capitals. I guess I was wrong about him in this series. Ovechkin's been silent. He had 1 shot on goal last game and no shots on goal in game 1 in the series. So props off to the New York Rangers for limiting him. I thought this playoff berth was kind of going to give Ovechkin a little more life and a little extra pep in his step, but it hasn't. And I was wrong. I mean, can the Capitals win this series? Yeah, it's not impossible. It's been done before, but the way the Rangers are playing right now, seems bleak. I can't see that happening. And, the Capitals couldn't get any momentum going in the first game at all. Game 2 started out a little bit differently, right? Rangers were able to grab the first goal of the game thanks to Connor McMichael, but then the Rangers scored minutes later, killed all the momentum that the Capitals had. Right now, turnovers are hurting the Capitals, right? An ugly, ugly, ugly turnover led by Ovechkin led to Keandre Miller goal. A lot of penalties. combined for both teams, 11 penalties in game 2 for both teams, which obviously favors the Rangers because Zibanejad's been so lethal on the power play all season long. The puck just looks extra small for Lindgren right now, right? Lindgren's been the hot hand this season for the Capitals, but I think for the rest of the series, you give Kemper the net. Kemper's got the playoff experience, has a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. I think it's time to see what Kemper could do in this situation. I don't think Lindgren right now is, built for playoff hockey. We've seen Kemper steal games for teams, and at this point, there's nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose. You're down 2-0 in the series to the President Trophy winners. Give Kemper the start. I think that's the best thing that they could do heading into game 3.
It's going to sound funny. You brought up that Ovechkin had 1 shot yesterday. He had 0 shots in game 1. The last time Ovechkin was held without a shot in a playoff game was 2018. The Capitals ended up going on to win the Stanley Cup. That is not going to be the case this season. I'm fully on the Rangers winning this series. I don't think the Rangers look all that particularly dangerous. I do think Artemi Panarin has to have the weight of the world lifted off his shoulders by this point in the series, I would say, because he did nothing against the Devils last year. Nothing. They shut him down unlike I've ever seen a star player get shut down before, especially by a team I cheer for. But he scored that goal, and credit to Matt Rempe. I hate his guts, but I hate his guts from a pure Devils-Rangers rivalry standpoint. I would tell him right to his face, I hate you, but I also it's because you're a big meanie on the Rangers. Like, if you were a big meanie on Winnipeg or Colorado, I'd love you. He scored the goal, and that set the tone for the Rangers in game number 1. And then Panarin made it 2-0. What was it? A shift or 2 later. Yeah. I mean, and a guy like Rempe, they were missing that last year. It's not always about going out and trading for Patrick Kane or Vladimir Tarasenko, these one-dimensional offensive players. Sometimes in the NHL, it takes a guy like Rempe to get the juices flowing, and that is a thing in sports. And it got Panarin going. He's looking good in this series. Excuse me. You said 80% of or was it 89% of the time the team that takes a 2-0 series lead goes on to win the series? Frank, 2 teams that I've been heavily invested in my life were the Zach Parise Minnesota Wild and the New Jersey Devils always. I've been on the 11% that came back from a 2-0 series lead.
So have I.
Life, and you have too.
Hawks were down 2-0 to the Blues.
The Blues, yep. It's kind of fun being on that 11%. Like, you make that comeback, you win that. If you win game 3 in a 3-game series or in a 7-game series like that, if you win it when you're down 2-0, there's a chance. That's like there's a chance moment, and a lot of the times it goes south from there. But what we've seen from Washington so far, it's just. I mean, this is best case scenario for the whole goal record chase. Like, Ovechkin, get out of here, go rest up in the summer, show up to training camp next year. Your 43rd goal would probably be the most historic goal in NHL history if you got to it next season, or even if you do the late 20s, early 30s again, you come into the following year needing 10, 15 more goals. That's what I would be focused on right now if I were Alexander Ovechkin, because this team is not that good. But I mean, credit to them for getting to this point. They did play well down the stretch. They did win those last handful of games to end the season. The Flyers gave TJ Oshie a gift by pulling the goalie. Tortorella didn't know they were already eliminated, but that was after our last show, so that is new for us to talk about. But I mean, when I saw that turnover that Ovechkin made, I'm actually kind of impressed you brought it up, because that was a turning point in that game. Because the Capitals did end up getting a 3rd goal, and shout out to Tom Wilson, but the plays Zibanejad made to take the puck from Ovechkin shorthanded and then feed it across. I don't remember the forward he passed it to. And then they got it back to Zibanejad, and he found Keandre Miller, who the Capitals just did not have covered. It was a snipe show for him.
Beautiful.
The Devils took Ty Smith, and the Blackhawks took nasty Adam Boquist in that draft, and Keandre Miller ended up falling to the early 20s. That was my draft crush. That was my Zeev Bouillon that year. Keandre Miller. Now, the Devils traded Smith for Marino. That worked out, but Smith was certainly not like the best draft pick. The Penguins were stupid for trading Miller for him, or Marino for him. But I mean, Miller is just a really good player, and the Rangers, they got this 2-0 series lead. I'm not overly impressed with the Rangers, though. That's the
No,
thing.
they don't
It's
look
not
great.
like this thing, like in this series, they're not the Fugazis, they're the for realsies. But I still think overall, like if we see them, we're going to talk about their probable next opponent. Probably next, if you're okay with going out of order from how I wrote them. I don't know if
I don't care.
will that mess you up
But
at all.
no, but I do want to mention. Are you switching gears?
No, not yet. I was
No,
just going to
okay.
say when they get to that point though in the playoffs, I, I'm not seeing anything against. They're not dominating the Capitals the way. I mean, the first game was a little, but like yesterday's game, the Capitals could have tied it late. I would have been 0% surprised. The Rangers will win because they have more talent, not because they're like playing better or this juggernaut that scares the crap out of me. Like that's just not what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, unless I'm missing a team, the Capitals are the only team in the postseason who were sellers at the trade deadline.
It looks like you are correct.
That says a lot about this team, that they weren't prepared to be in this position. But Lindgren was so good at the second half of the season. But I think you go back to Kemper. I do.
It's a fair point. Like you remember, like Lindgren, it's not his fault at all. But Kemper might be able to provide that like spark.
It's more of a statement. You're making a statement.
Yeah, because then if he gets shelled, you go right back to Lindgren, and you'll probably just accept your fate.
You got
At that
nothing to
point.
lose, though.
Yeah,
So
but you're
lose
coming back
right
to
now.
Washington. You're coming back to Washington. There are people in the league that truly believe you're never out of a series till you lose at home. Washington hasn't lost at home. Last year the Rangers blew a 2-0 series lead. Actually, the last 2 years they were eliminated after blowing a 2-0 series lead. They blew a 2-0 series lead to Tampa 2 years ago and to the Devils last year.
Tough luck.
It is a tough look. So if the Rangers come back and win, I'll say this: if the Capitals come back and win, there's going to be a major change in New York, not the coach. Like a major piece on the roster will be traded if they were to blow this series after winning the President's Trophy and having a 2-0 series lead again. But I don't really think either of us foresee that happening. When Ovechkin gets to the summer, go out there and get ready for next season, bud. It could be a historic one.
For the sake of my prediction, I hope the Capitals come back.
Yeah, I mean that's not going to help your prediction.
Well,
he's got 4 years to break this thing. He
no,
could do it
no,
in
no,
one.
no. The prediction of them beating the Rangers.
Oh. Yeah, because
I want the Capitals to win the series. I think that'd be funny.
Frank, look who you're talking to.
It would solidify my prediction. Like that'd be sweet.
Get out of here with those Rangers. Think I want to see them win? But you're cool going out of order? Because I wrote them down in the way they popped in my head, not the order I wanted to talk about them.
Okay.
The Carolina Hurricanes are playing the other New York team, the New York Islanders. First of all, the Carolina Hurricanes, I have them losing the Stanley Cup final in my bracket, but meaning I have them getting that far.
Me too.
And which means we also probably both wouldn't be shocked if they won that eventual series to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Carolina's damn good. And the New York Islanders, they played them so hard in game number 1. I personally think the Islanders were the better team in game number 1. They outshot the Canes to hell in the first 40 minutes. It really looked like a disinterested, unorganized Carolina Hurricanes team. Mm-hmm. But Freddie Anderson was playing out of his mind. And then it did look a little bit in the third period. They say Rod Brindamore must have went in the locker room and flipped the table. Jarvis went on Spittin' Chicklets and said, no, none of that happened. We just all knew we played like crap and we could be better. And they came out and played better in the third. And Evgeny Kuznetsov, what a dog he is. He's back to looking like his old playoff self. Just absolutely bird chirping everybody. Caw-caw!
I love that.
Me too. And Gensel, he slaps one into the empty net with style. And then in game 2, here come the New York Islanders. Bo Horvat scores. And Kyle Palmieri scores. And they have a 3-0 lead in the game. and then they squander it away. That was the worst 3-0 lead I've ever seen because
I know.
Carolina, it was like the tale of two games. They dominated that game in the early part, but they were still down 3-0. You can dominate a game and lose.
Yep.
That happened to the Islanders in the first game, and it was almost about to happen to the Hurricanes in game 2, but they found a way to get it tied with the goalie pulled. And no, they were not done there. That game didn't even get to overtime. Frank, I'm sure overtime overbetters for the first round are annoyed that that game didn't go to overtime. The over-under was set at 10.5 games to go to overtime in the first round. That's very high, but last year had
That's
14.
a ton.
Last year had 14, so it would have hit the over last year if it were the same over-under. But Carolina got it done 9 seconds later after they went ahead, or they got the game tied with the goalie pulled. Our boy Teuvo Teravainen, former Blackhawk, led the charge on the comeback, the overall charge on the comeback. What are you seeing from this series?
Islanders needed to win that game. I think that was the nail in the coffin.
Either of the two. But
yeah, but that one especially up 3-0, that was the nail in the coffin. And if you're the Islanders, I don't know how you come out and respond to that. I mean, statistically, when you're up 3-0 for the Islanders, they were 81-0 when leading in the postseason by 3 goals, which is a crazy record because I'm sure there were many 3-goal leads blown this year in the NHL. But when the Islanders were up 3-0 in the playoffs, this never happened. So this was new ground for them. Man, oh man, you're outshot 39-12. Like you said, Carolina just dominated them. So it wasn't even impressive that Islanders had a 3-goal lead because Anderson kind of let up some meatballs. And it's not even like the Islanders were really playing good hockey. They were playing not to lose when they were up 3 goals, which you can't do. You have to continue, grinding, chipping in. Just don't do the safe plays just because you're up 3-0. And that's kind of what they did. And the Carolina Hurricanes took advantage. But when you look at the Carolina Hurricanes, too, you added Gensel at the trade deadline. You already had a great offense from head to toe. Probably got the best defense of any team in the postseason. You got all the momentum heading into game 3. It seems like the Islanders are going to be cooked. Like there's nothing, like, I don't know how you physically respond from a performance like that. You got to be absolutely deflated.
How crazy is it that Carolina was able to dominate that game and still be losing, and then find it deep in their bones? Because I think a lot of the times when you're playing that well and you're still getting killed on the scoreboard, normally you point to your goalie in those instances because, like, why are we dominating so bad but still down 3-0? Normally you point to your goalie and you make a change or do something crazy. No, Rod the Bod has a feel of his team. They ended up getting it done. I don't see how the Islanders can get a win in this series because the only way, this is going to sound insane, but the only way I see Carolina losing a series this year is so they play man coverage, right? Most teams in the NHL play zone. They play man. In order to play man, you have to be the most well-conditioned team. And what I mean by man, for those of you who aren't hockey nerds, it's very similar in football too with the way people play defense. When you play zone, your biggest asset needs to be your communication. When you play man, your biggest asset needs to be communication and conditioning. Because if you play man, you always need to be shadowing one specific player on the opposition. When you play zone, you need to worry about staying in a certain area of the ice defensively.
Happens a lot in basketball too.
Yeah, basketball's the same thing. Yeah. And the Hurricanes are one of the last teams right now, the only teams right now playing man, which makes sense with Rod the Bod as their coach. Of course, he's big and shredded, and if he takes his shirt off, you'll go blind because of how shiny his keels probably are.
Chiseled.
He's just chiseled, and he probably expects that from his players. It can't be easy to play for the Carolina Hurricanes, but they got absolute dogs on defense with Pesci and Brent Burns and Slavin and Brady Shea. All these guys are magicians back there. I mean, they're just so sick. But the only way I see them losing a series is if a team figures out a way to get the puck and run them out of the building, conditioning wise. If I'm Peter Laviolette and the Rangers right now, I get the puck. I have Panarin. I have Kreider. I have Zibanejad. I have Lafreniere. My defensemen, Keandre Miller, Adam Fox, Trouba. Wear them out, get them tired, and pounce in the third period. That would be my game plan on how to take out the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll see if any of these teams are good enough, skilled enough. The Islanders don't have enough skill up front to do that, in my opinion. You got Barzal, you got Lee. Other than Barzal, though, who's like shifty, like Horvat and all, they have a lot of skill, but like it's a different kind of skill. The team I have them losing to in the Stanley Cup final has, you could probably guess who it is by this description. They have enough forwards to wear and tear a team like Carolina using their speed and their skill. I don't see an Eastern Conference team with that ability. I just don't.
You know how like when you're watching a show where there's a prize on the line, like Survivor, there's $1 million or something.
Yeah.
And you make a decision. It's like that could be $1 million decision that you have to make, right? Well, I think that game and that comeback could have been a Stanley Cup winning turnaround for the Carolina Hurricanes. Just by them coming back in that game, in game 2 of the first round, that could be the difference maker of them winning the Stanley Cup.
It very well could. It very well could. I don't see how a team takes them down like
I don't
Florida
think the Carolina Hurricanes get a lot of credit either, VP, to be honest with you.
No, they really don't, because they get to the conference final and lose every year. And is that because they're tired by the time they get to that point? We'll see. If they don't win a game in the conference finals again, I am going to be convinced that like they need to make a change to the way they do things a little bit, because they can't be that out of gas by the time they reach the third round.
Do you want to know what our buddy Dylan said about the Hurricanes?
Oh, God.
I didn't want to put him on the spot here, but we're talking about it. And it's just maybe one of the craziest takes of 2024. So I just got to feel the need to bring it up. Like, listen, if they were to come in contact with the Florida Panthers, right? Florida's going to give them hell. They could win the series. But he said that the Florida Panthers would run them out of the building. Meaning like the series wouldn't even be close.
That's not as hot of a take as I thought you were going to throw out. It's a hot take. It's a sizzling take. I'm not saying that. Because like running them out of the building. Yeah,
that means you think they're like sweep 5 games.
I mean, they did last year. Both teams are better now than they were last year, though. That's the thing. Like, Florida's no joke, and we're going to get to them in a second. But I love the addition of Gensel and Kuznetsov to this group. And Seth Jarvis this year is not the same Seth Jarvis as he was last year. And neither's Nietzsche's. But especially Jarvis. Jarvis scored 30 this year. He had a little bit of a sophomore slump last year. I mean, it's a different situation for him too. But I'll tell you what, that team is very, very good. I don't agree that they will get run out of the building. I guess I wouldn't be flabbergasted if Florida did something like that, just because of how deep they are and how what I said about the way Carolina plays could be like wear and tear. But I would be surprised, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if they won the series, Florida. But to say they get run out of the building is like no one seems to be giving Carolina the respect.
No,
it's unbelievable, because statistically they are the favorite on paper to win the cup, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they roll 4 lines. They have been in the conference finals the last handful of years. They're always in it, it seems. They're fast. They have a ton of skill. Sebastian Aho is an unreal leader in terms of the way he produces points. Tara Vinen's playing well. I love their defense. They have 2 good goalies that they trust. Strong coach, good power play, great penalty kill. Yeah, they got it all going on in Carolina right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they win this series against the Islanders in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I had them in 5.
Yeah, I mean, you always are going to go with the 5 for the most part, just like the respect factor. Like an NHL team might win an NHL game at 1 out of 5 times. Like, yeah, for sure. We'll move on to that Florida Panthers team. That's the Battle of Florida, the Sunshine State. Florida's alive and well in South Florida, as the Florida Panthers have a 2-0 series lead. I will give Tampa credit. It is a little bit different than the Rangers-Washington 2-0 lead or the Hurricanes-Islanders 2-0 series lead. this series could be 2-0 Tampa. It could be 1-1 tied. It could have gone either way at any point. The save Sergei Bobrovsky made yesterday, where he flung his arm while he wasn't even looking, is one of the most spectacular, jaw-dropping saves I've ever seen in my entire life, and it is just so cool to see. The Battle of Florida is living up to all expectations. Each team they've played each other twice in the last. This is the third time in 4 years. Each team has a win. We're looking to see if Florida can get it done this time around, but it really looks like they have everything they need after winning 2 at home.
Yeah, the mighty Tampa Bay Lightning that we've all grown to love over the years are coming face to face with the new sheriff in town in Florida. It seems like Florida nowadays is the better team from the state. Both game 1 and game 2, I couldn't agree more with you. Could have gone either way. First game of the playoffs to go to overtime. Just seems like the Panthers right now, they got that extra juice in them. The juice that the Tampa Bay Lightning used to have all those years when they made those deep postseason runs. The saves Vasilevsky used to make in the postseason, that's like kind of what Bobrovsky's doing now. Vasilevsky's not that guy right now in this series. That's more of what Bobrovsky's doing. Hence the stunner save you mentioned in game 2. I mean, that's what we're used to seeing out of Vasilevsky, but Florida is so good and Bobrovsky's so good that Florida's kind of taken over the leadership, almost a passing of the torch, you could say, for the Florida Panthers, right? Like, we're used to Vasilevsky being unbeatable, but Florida, what they've been able to do is get to him in the first period early on, get that goal in the first period, get in Vasilevsky's head. And we're not used to seeing that out of Vasilevsky. Usually it's Tampa taking the reins and kind of scoring first and jumping out ahead, but that hasn't been the case. Florida's just, what they're able to do is the Florida Panthers just grind. They're gritty. You got a guy like Kachuk. They just wear out the opposition. And I've seen more than one goal in this series from Florida where Vasilevsky is laying on his stomach or back when the puck goes into the net. It's that Florida grind that they have that's kind of tiring out the Lightning in this series. It's not like the big guys on Tampa aren't doing anything or contributing. Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, Hedman, they're all contributing on goals. It's just Florida is playing a top-tier defensive battle against Tampa Bay. Tampa also had the number 1 power play this season in the NHL, and the Panthers were able to hold Tampa in game 2 to 1 power play goal on 6 power play opportunities. It's just Florida's doing everything right now, and it just seems like they've done mightily just to prepare for this. Like you've said, this is what, the second time in the past, or the third time in the past 4 years that they're playing each other. It just appears that they're more better prepared for a moment like this.
I agree with everything you said. The only thing I'll point out, I think Vasilevsky's played just as well as Bobrovsky. In game 1, he gave up 2 goals on 28 shots. He gave up 3 goals on 28 shots. Bobrovsky gave up 2 on 19. In game 2, and I'm a Bob guy. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I'll still make that argument with you. But in game 2, Daddy Vasilevsky gave up 3 goals again on 37 shots. Mm-hmm. But Bob gave up 2 on 23, which is like still above that. Like he's great. He's playing awesome. Yep. He's giving his team a chance to win. And one of the saves was so spectacular. But Daddy Vasilevsky's doing his part. Florida can't give up a goal. They're not giving up goals at all. I mean, they are, but like neither team is, and someone's got to win. That overtime was incredible. Did you know Carter Verhaeghe just tied Patrick Kane in overtime winners in his career?
Yep.
And he's third all time now. 5 overtime game winners in the playoffs. Kane might never have one again. He might, if Detroit gets in next year, if he re-signs or if he signs with a different team that's a tad bit better than Detroit, like he might get another. He's not going to have more than like 6 or 7 though. Verhaeghe could play for 7, 8, 9 more years. Mm-hmm. Will he be the all-time leader in overtime? If he gets another overtime winner this playoff season, I will predict he breaks Joe Sakic's record for the most overtime goals in the history of this guy is as clutch as I've seen a Is he a superstar? I don't think he's a superstar. He's not a superstar. He's a well above average player. I don't even know if I'd call him a star. Like, he had 40 goals last year, really good season this year. I don't know if I call him a superstar, but he's like a star, like a great player. Like, man, what a stud this guy is.
Yeah, he's
He had
been
an assist
fantastic.
in the game too. It's his second of the playoffs. It's just been a real good ride for Carter Verhaeghe. I mean, that Florida team is just so deep now, where they have Tarasenko, and I'm in awe on the way that they play. Do you know, Frank? I think Barkov, he's going to be my Selke Trophy vote. When him and This is going to be a sore subject for Blackhawks fans, because this guy was traded by the Chicago Blackhawks and then put on waivers by the Carolina Hurricanes, no less. Imagine if they had this guy right now, Gustav Forsling. When Barkov and Forsling are on the ice at the same time this season, they played 145 minutes together this season. How many goals do you think they gave up?
It's probably going to be like 1.
No, it's a little more than that, but they gave up 9
That's not
all
bad.
season.
That's
all season.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, the amount of time that they played together, that's a lot of time together, and to give up only 9 goals over 82 games at 5-on-5. At 5-on-5. I'm sure they gave up a power play goal. They're probably both on the top PK unit, but like, talking like at 5-on-5. 9 even strength goals against all season long when both of them are on the ice. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For your top defensive defenseman, or one of your top defensive defensemen, and your top defensive forward that also is capable of having 80 to 100 points. It's just incredible what this Florida team has right now. I predicted Carolina to make it to the Cup final right now, but I can't say that if they made it to the conference finals against Carolina, I can't guarantee I would pick Carolina right now. Like, I don't know what I would pick. I honestly, the way each team is playing right now, I think it would be tremendous hockey. And I know the next series we're going to talk about, the winner of that would like to have a say in it too, whoever that is, because I do think the winner of that upcoming series that we're going to talk about is good enough to be in the mix. But the way Florida's playing right now, dude, and Tkachuk is getting going. He ended up getting credited with the game-winning goal because he scored the empty netter, and then Stamkos got one at the end of the game to make the empty net goal the game-winning goal. But damn, what a run it's been for the two Florida teams. Frank, I wouldn't be shocked if it comes back to Sunrise for Game 5 tied at 2 games apiece.
I wouldn't either.
0% surprised.
You can't count out the Lightning.
No. And Daddy Vasilevsky's going. Hedman, like you pointed out, Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, they're all contributing points. It's just, this series has been remarkable.
It's definitely on paper when you see 2-0 seems dominant, but like you said, it could be 2-0 Tampa, could be 1-1. I mean, that overtime could go either way. There's a reason why it was the first overtime game of the whole entire playoffs, because right now they're playing good, and I don't want you to think I think Vasilevsky's playing bad. It's just he's not living up to those unrealistic stats that we've seen out of him in previous years.
100%. And there's the entertainment factor that has come from this series as well. Just absolutely incredible stuff. I love what I'm seeing from it. It wouldn't shock me if it goes the different distance. I know Florida has a 2-0 series lead, but again, Tampa in Tampa.
Tampa could be part of that 11%.
Yeah, I wouldn't be feeling comfortable if I'm Florida. Actually, I'll say this: 4 teams in NHL history have ever come back down from 3-0. If I was up 3-0, I wouldn't feel good yet. I wouldn't. I know that sounds bananas. You probably would, but if I'm Florida, I'm not happy until I see my team on the happy side of the handshake line. I'm dead ass.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't feel that way about everyone. When Washington goes down 3-0 tomorrow, I'd be shitting my pants. If I'm the Islanders and I'm down 3-0, I'd be shitting my pants. A couple other these series in the West. If I'm Florida up 3-0, I'd feel the same way about Tampa. No, if Tampa were up 3-0, I'd probably be like, we got this. But Florida, man, they have everything they need to win the Stanley Cup. They have multiple good D. Ekblad looked healthy in the couple games in the playoffs so far after not playing since April 2nd. The forward lines are as deep as they've ever been. They have Tarasenko, Kachuk, Verhaeghe, Lundell, Barkov, Reinhart. We didn't even talk about 50 goal man at Reinhart
Yeah,
getting a big goal in the first playoff game, the first game of the playoffs for Florida. Like he's continuing right where he left off. It's good in Florida right now, and the fans. I know their stadium. A lot of people consider the Panthers' attendance issues to be similar to the Rays' attendance issues. It's not because people don't give a crap about the sport in the market. It's because it's hard to get to the stadium. It's not a convenient place to go to. But people have been putting their inconveniences aside and finding a way because, man, have they been rocking the red there at the Florida Panthers home.
yeah. I mean, I'm very excited to see where this series stands. Our next show. I don't
Me
think
too.
it'll be over.
I don't either. I don't either. And you know what? If Florida sweeps Tampa Bay, that could be like the run of dominance that they need to like win the Stanley Cup while going like 16-4 the rest of the way.
That might
Or
be
like
the
the
run
whole
of
way through.
dominance they need to run Carolina out of the building.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if they sweep Tampa, I might start rethinking my Dylan's on glue opinion. I really would. Sweeping Tampa is huge. That is like the cream of the crop in the NHL for the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, since the Hawks and the Penguins fell off, it became Tampa and Colorado. And
Yep.
now new teams are starting to like try and overtake them. Vegas, Carolina, even a couple teams that might have not even made the playoffs this year. Philly will probably be good for a while. Buffalo's going to try and take that step. The Devils had a show last year. They could easily be back in this position next year.
Yep.
The Blackhawks are, there's going to be a couple teams trying to overtake that. Right now, it looks like it could be Florida's time to be that team that everybody wants to emulate. So we'll see if they get a Stanley Cup out of it, or at least another deep run as they were in the final last year. There was one other thing I wanted to say about the Florida series before we moved on, but I think I might have lost it forever. Whatever I was going to say. What were we talking about right before?
Uh,
Um,
blowing a lead.
Blowing a lead? No.
Um,
It had something to do with the Florida Panthers against the Lightning.
the not the fans going to the game. Passing of the torch.
I don't know. I'll think of it. Frank, the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing against the Boston Bruins, and in game one, not long before the opening faceoff, do we find out that William Nylander is out for game one. He is the only player in the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup that played all 82 regular season games, and he was missing from game
Very
one
weird.
of the Stanley Cup playoffs for an undisclosed reason. There are people out there, not necessarily me, that believe it was a healthy scratch because of how badly he dogged it in game 82 and game 81. Looked disinterested, didn't even touch the puck when it came near him. People believing he just tried to get 100 points by going out there for the power play. He finished the season with 98, didn't quite get to 100. It was a brilliant season for Will Nye, the hockey guy. But he comes out not playing in game one. He's skating in game two, or in game two's morning skate. It looks like nothing's wrong at all. He doesn't play in that game either. But in the first game, Frank, the Toronto Maple Leafs got absolutely dog washed by the Boston Bruins. And it looked like this series might actually be a lot shorter than some people thought. Everyone had it going on for the Bruins in that first game. Jake DeBrusk, the Bruin killer, boy, is he going to get paid. Or the Leaf killer, boy, is he going to get paid. And then in game number two, here come the Toronto Maple Leafs, the only team to tie a series after losing the first game, because Austin Matthews had the single greatest playoff game of his NHL career so far, where he set up a goal for who scored that first goal for the Leafs in the first game? Oh, was it Bertuzzi or Domi?
In the
Domi.
first game.
In the second game, I mean, the first goal, it was Bertuzzi. And Austin Matthews and him just have instant chemistry, it seems like right now. He set up the play. He scored a beauty of his own once he got on a breakaway to put the game ahead for the Leafs, and then ended up serving as the game-winning goal. He's been magnificent defensively. What a game for Austin Matthews, and the series is now tied at 1, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, whew, honestly, this series has been a fun one. It really has. Bruins looked hungry to win a first round season. Bruins are hungry, I should say, to win a first round matchup after going out to the Panthers last year. Swayman played great. Bruins offense looked great in that game 1 5-1 victory. Going into game 2, the Leafs didn't have a lead at any point in 6 straight games versus the Bruins. Right? Bruins had a 2-1 lead. Toronto scored to make it 2-2, but the goal was disallowed on the power play. You could have thought that killed the momentum for the Leafs because, time's winding down in the second period or whatnot. But nope, John Tavares scores on the same power play to tie it up. And then a breakaway in the third period leads to Austin Matthews' first goal of the series, which ends up being the game winner. First things first, I want to say I'm proud of Jim Montgomery going with Allmark in game 2. Despite them losing, you could say what you want. Allmark played great, and I hope he continues to alternate every game, which I think he will. They didn't win 82 games in a row after alternating and switching goalies. Like, things happen. I love Montgomery's comments following game 2 loss about Allmark, that he never second guessed his decision and that Allmark played great. So props to him. Don't let it get in your head, Montgomery. Love that. But got to keep that up for the entire playoffs, right? Second, the biggest question I had about the Bruins is their power play. It was lackluster heading into the postseason. And then come postseason time against the Maple Leafs, they got 3 power play goals in the series already. A big reason why they won game 1. If the Leafs want to win this series, Austin Matthews has to take over like we saw in the third period of game number 2.
Where is Willie? That's what I want to know.
I don't think it's a healthy scratch. That'd be kind of shitty. Don't be a pansy about it. Like, I don't like that idea. Like, there's got to be something else we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, did Nylander mail it in the last handful of games? Maybe. But, like, he's William Nylander. You can't win anything without him.
Yeah.
Like, he's your second best forward right now. Marner's basically been invisible. I don't know what his deal is. But, Tavares had a big goal. I like what the Leafs have. I wouldn't be shocked if they won this series at all. But, I mean, I picked the Bruins, and I still am going with it. I'm team rotate the goalies, too. But if Swayman shuts out the Leafs tonight, and then you go to Allmark in their next game and they lose, you have to ride Swayman the rest of the series. Even if it's not, I didn't know Swayman was 4-0-0 this season now with like under 2 goals against average against the Leafs, and he dominates the Leafs in particular. And Allmark's record in goals against probably isn't terrible either because, outside of the fact the Bees haven't lost a playoff series to the Leafs since 1959, they also, this last loss ended a 8-game winning streak or a 7-game winning streak. For the Boston Bruins over the Toronto Maple Leafs that dated back to last season. So, I mean, it's not quite a goalie controversy in Boston because they're both good. I think a goalie controversy comes when a great starter isn't playing well and a clear backup starts playing well. But in Boston, they have 2 number ones. Like, no other team in the league has this luxury. Like, Carolina kind of did it with Freddie and Kochetkov.
Yeah.
But, like, Freddie's going to start every game till he loses or sucks. There are a couple other teams that did it here and there. But, like, for the most part, the Bruins are the only team with, like, 2 elite goalies that they trust every single day. Oh, the Islanders kind of rotated a little bit this year. They went with Varlamov. I think Patrick Waugh being the coach and having Varlamov in Colorado has a lot to do with that. And Sorokin hasn't been, I think Sorokin's usually a top 3 goalie this year. He really wasn't even top 10. But, it's an interesting thing going on with Toronto right now. But you see with the other series, you see it with Edmonton, you see it with Colorado, you see it with Vegas. Their top guys produce. And we haven't seen that from the Leafs quite as much over the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner era. It is paramount that Austin Matthews plays the way he did in game number 2 going forward if the Leafs want to have a chance to win. Without
100%.
that they can't win. No team can win if their stars went that cold.
I completely agree.
Because that's why Washington and the Islanders really have no shot. They don't have super duper stars. Like, that's why it would have been cool to see Detroit make it. They have Larkin and Kane and Raymond, all these guys who are just capable of having 100-point seasons. The Islanders really only have one with Barzal. Horvat's a good player, an all-star caliber player, but I don't know if he's like a superstar. All the rest of these teams have at least two superstars. Even if a team like Buffalo with Tage Thompson and Dahlin and Bowen Byron, like Devils, Hughes, Heischer, Meyer, like guys like that, like the Islanders, Washington, the Leafs have those guys. They need them to go in the playoffs. Otherwise, it's Jover.
I agree. I completely agree.
Speaking of Buffalo, I know we're talking about the playoffs, and they haven't made the playoffs since 2011. You know, that's the longest stretch in league history without a playoff appearance. I'll let the amount of years they've been out. 13 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the longest stretch.
I didn't know it was the longest
ever.
But I knew it was the longest current.
Yeah, it's the longest current. 12 teams have played at least 50 playoff games since the last time Buffalo played one.
That's
12 teams, and I think 11 or like 14 or 15 teams that played at least 25.
Wow.
So that's a lot of playoff games, 50 playoff games. And it sounds crazy, but like the Hawks definitely have played that many since. The Lightning, the Bruins, the Rangers, the Capitals, the Blues, the Sharks. I know it's probably weird to hear me say the Sharks, but they're at least on the 25 list. They're probably on the 50 list. Because think about it. They played 10 plus in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And it wasn't until 2020 that they started really. I bet the Sharks are on that 50 list because they probably played over 20 in the year they made it to the Cup. Yeah, I 100% think. Frank, think about it. They were in the second round minimum most years from 2012 to 2020.
That's true.
And that's 7 right there, just getting to the second round. There are a couple years they made it to the conference finals, lost to Vegas in this conference final, losing the Cup to Pittsburgh. That's 25 games right there.
Yeah, that's true. You're probably right.
The Sharks absolutely were like a great organization until they started to fall off. It's just crazy how many teams have played 50 games though since the Sabres last played one, but that's not here nor there. Frank, what are you expecting to see going forward in this Toronto-Boston series? I know you picked the Bees to win, but the Leafs, they probably planted a seed of doubt in a lot of people's opinion going forward because now they're only going to get Nylander back and they're headed to Toronto.
I think the Bruins are going to get it done fairly easier than you might think. I think that was just I don't want to say a fluke, but I just don't think that momentum that they have is going to carry them to winning the series. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins won in 5. I have them in 6, I believe, which the Toronto's going to have to win 2 games eventually. So, I mean, yeah, they got that one big game, but it's just, I still don't like the way Toronto's playing. And can Austin Matthews keep that up? I don't know. We haven't seen that from him except in game 2. So I'm still going to go with the Beast to ride it out. I'm not expecting a whole lot difference from what we've seen. I think the Bruins are going to come out strong tonight. Swayman back in night. And that I do disagree with you, though. Even if Swayman wins and Allmark loses game 4, you just got to keep it up. I just think you got to keep it up. Bite your tongue and keep it up.
What if they rotate the whole series, win in 7, Swayman wins game 7? Do you start Swayman in game 1 and then continue the rotation from there, or does Allmark start game 1 of the following series?
I think you just got to go with your plan, what's worked for 82 games. I think you just continue to alternate. Obviously, unless there's an injury, because that happened this year. Yeah. There was one injury for each, but I think that's what you got to do it. You can't be scared. You can't be scared no matter what happens. I'm proud of Montgomery. I'm very proud of him for sticking to it. He said he never second guessed it. There's going to be the haters out there that say, why you start Allmark? See what happens? He lost game 2. Well, like I said, they didn't win every game after alternating in the regular season, and it's not going to happen in the postseason. So stick to the plan, Jimmy.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Austin Matthews. On our last show, he had 2 chances to score goal number 70. And man, what a bummer that he didn't get it. It's not his fault. He rang the post a couple times. He played hard in the last couple games. There were meaningless games for the Leafs, and he still went out there and tried to do it. I mean, nobody loves USA hockey more than me, and Austin Matthews is our best player right now. I mean, I don't really think it's close. He'll probably be the captain of Team USA when we go to the Four Nations Cup next season, and then the Olympics the following year. I mean, we're going to be all in on Team USA during that run, and we need Austin Matthews. He's incredible. As a hockey fan, it's such a historic number to hit 70. He ends at 69, which is still the most goals that anybody scored in a season since the mid 90s. I think there's a chance that he still gets to 70 at some point in his career. I absolutely believe he's going to break if he stays healthy. He could be in the conversation to break the Ovechkin Gretzky goal record. I know you're not even done. You're not even fully tired of me talking about the Ovechkin breaking the record, and then I'm going to get right into Matthews right after Ovechkin does it. Like, it's possible, though. I mean, based on the trajectory, it is. I think 700 goals would be like a disappointment for Matthews at this point. 600 basically locks you into the Hall of Fame. 700 is when you start to reach like all-time great status, and to think about 800, 900 goals for Matthews, 1,000 if he stays healthy, like, it's a lot, but it's not as crazy as it seems. It's about as crazy as it seemed when I used to say it about Ovechkin when he was in the mid fours. Austin Matthews is a little earlier than the mid fours, but if he has another 70 burger next year, he'll be right there in the mid fours. So then, he's 26, 27. Like, there's a lot of years left to go here. So I'm bummed he wasn't able to get that last one. He played hard. You could tell he was bummed, but, he's got 70 now because,
Yeah,
it counts. It means something.
it does.
So
It
we'll see
does.
what happens. I'll say I have a little bit of seed of doubt. I still think the Bruins are going to win. I'm holding tight with our bees. The bees mean a lot in our family, obviously, but I have a seed of doubt planted. It hasn't sprout yet. You still can't
For
see a little
for
green
the
leaf
Bruins or for the
for the
Leafs?
Bruins. I'm a little worried. I won't lie, because Matthews, I do think he can be dominant. I think right now he was a top 4 Hart guy because of how many goals he scored. But I think if you drafted the NHL from scratch right now, and every team participated in a lottery to see who had the first pick, and you're drafting every player from scratch, and the only thing you have to take into consideration are age and projected value going forward. So, like, if it were a 1-year thing, Crosby would probably go in the top 5. But if it were a 10-year thing or a forever thing, he probably wouldn't even be in the top 50. Um, I think in a draft like that, Matthews would probably go 4th, 5th. Like, Connor McDavid would be the first overall pick. I would take Cale Makar second. And then you argue Matthews and McKinnon for third and fourth, right? Like, it's just because Kucherov, he's in that conversation for right now, but he's a lot
Right.
older than these guys. And I don't know. He can be that game breaking legendary type of player. We'll just see if he is going forward in this series, and if he is, the Bruins are in big trouble.
It all really relies on him.
Yeah, and I do think the depth needs to show up. You need goals from Domi. You need Bertuzzi. You need William Nylander back. Tavares had a big goal. Where's Marner? The depth on defense that will be tested. We'll see if Samsonov can, make big saves. But the Bruins' good players are really rolling too. Pasternak has been unreal. This Morgan Geeky, Frank,
I love
what was
Morgan
Seattle
Geekie.
thinking letting him get away?
Yeah,
Like,
I've
what a bunch
always
of
liked him.
morons. Now he's on the bees. They're running guys you wouldn't think on their power play, like Shattenkirk's making an impact on their power play. Jake DeBrusk, I mean, if he don't go down as one of the all-time great untraditional Leaf killers, like Bergeron was a Leaf killer, Marchand, Sagan, like those guys back in the day. But DeBrusk's not like a superstar, but he would be if he played the Leafs 82 times a season. He go to the Hall of Fame first ballot. But yeah, that's probably the most exciting of the series going forward because that and the Florida one. I thought about what I was going to ask you with the Florida thing.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the Florida Panthers, though.
Okay.
What town do the Lightning play in?
Is it not Tampa?
What is the name of that town?
Tampa Bay.
See, I just learned this too. It is not called Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is like a nickname. It's like saying the Bay Area. It is Tampa.
Oh.
That's it. Why these teams go by Tampa Bay, I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. But
Because it sounds better.
the name of the town is Tampa.
Think about it. It sounds better. Tampa
It does.
Lightning.
But Tampa Bay, Florida is not a place. Tampa, Florida is a place.
You can't call a team Tampa. Tampa Rays.
Tampa Rays.
Tampa Lightning. Just sounds wrong.
That could be because of you knowing it that way.
A Tampa Lightning?
If they were called the Tampa Lightning from day one, and that's how 10-year-old Frankie learned about them.
Maybe, but
yeah. We'll see. Is there anything else from the Eastern Conference you want to touch on? We talked about it for a damn hour. We're going to talk about the West for an hour, too?
I think we nailed it, honestly. I think I really like the conversation we had. I'm excited to see how many series are over come our next show, or if they're all still going on. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. They will not all still be going on. I'd be stunned.
We'll see.
There'll be one over. There'll be one over by
we'll
the next
see.
show. The Rangers, Washington. That shit's cash. That is cash. And the Rangers aren't even that. They don't even have to play that well to take care of Washington. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Caps in 6.
Caps in 6. Oh my God, Frank! If the Caps win in 6, if the Caps come back and win this series, I won't barrage you when Ovechkin breaks the goal record.
Cool.
I will leave you alone. I won't even mention it. No, I'll mention it, but I won't bring up your like it will have nothing to do with you. Okay. I definitely won't have Aldo make a video of Ovechkin's head on, a Game of Thrones character, and then your head on Howard Stark's head while someone gets their head chopped off. Like, I definitely won't have that happen if the Capitals come back and win this series.
Very fair. We'll see. Be
very,
careful.
Very fair.
Rangers are chokers of 2-0 leads.
Frank, I dislike the Rangers more than you dislike any NHL team.
That's fine.
Do you agree?
Could be, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you still got to use your brain.
I know. That's why I picked them to win.
Right.
But I picked Washington on the show, so there's only audio of me picking the Capitals. But there's a tweet from before the playoffs started with the picture of my bracket going up. I never even looked at your bracket or anybody in our league's bracket.
No stress. No stress.
Do you have an Eastern Conference? Do you have a Western Conference team winning the Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Dallas.
It is Dallas?
Tough first-round matchup.
We're going to talk about that series between the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights in period number 2. Welcome to period 2, Frank. Let's get right into it. The Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. What a war this is. This is a war.
It is.
This is an absolute war. I don't think there's a closer matchup. Tampa, Boston, those that Winnipeg and Colorado will get to. That's really close and good. I'm not sure there is a closer matchup than the Dallas Stars versus the Vegas Golden Knights. You and your girlfriend's second favorite teams playing against each other, and you picked hers.
I just had to use my brain, but maybe I'm wrong because, like you said, this is one of the hardest series to predict. Tough draw for the Dallas Stars, honestly. You're the conference leaders, and you draw Vegas, which could go either way. So it was definitely a gamble taking the Stars because I knew wholeheartedly they could be bounced in the first round, which how hard of a matchup this is. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they're healthy once again, just in time for the start of the playoffs. And who else but Mark Stone gets the series opening goal early on the power play. Who assisted on the goal VP? Noah Hannafin, one of their key midseason acquisitions. Who scored the second power play goal of the game for the Knights, US? Tomas Hertl, assisted by Noah Hannafin. This team's very scary at full strength. We talked about it when these trades happened, how dangerous Hannafin and Hertl coming into this team, how big of a role it's going to play. And when the Knights get healthy and get Stone back, how dangerous they're going to be. They might be planning a parade, we said. And sure as shit, look what happens in game one. Very, very scary team. It's kind of like a joke. Like Vegas was the second wild card spot because, like, on paper, they're so much better than that. They don't deserve to be a second wild card spot given their roster when fully healthy, but that's just kind of how it goes. Dallas, they have to do better on the penalty kill. Knights went 2 for 2, 0% on the penalty kill so far. Ottinger played like he did at the beginning of the season, right? 4 goals, 15 shots, played terrible. This is not Jake Ottinger-esque. Dallas played better overall. It was the better team losing in that game. It's just the little mistakes, though. The little mistakes that the Dallas Stars are making that's leading to high danger opportunities for the Knights, which sealed the victory in game one. The one thing I did like, though, from Dallas was their ability to forcefully take away the puck, which led to great scoring opportunities, but Logan Thompson was on his game. Dallas won that department 15-10. You know, if you're going to lead in takeaways, it's going to lead to good things. But, you know, Logan Thompson, he's vulnerable when you pepper him a little bit. You see that stinky goal he let up, one of the worst goals of the playoffs. He's vulnerable. Got to get in his head. Got to keep pressuring. We saw him falling asleep in game one. Keep the pressure on. Keep fighting, and Dallas will win the series. I honestly believe if Dallas played the way they did in game one, I think they'll win the series. And not as a whole. Like, Ottinger's got to be better. The defense got to be better. But offensively, what they did, if they play like that, they'll win the series.
I find it so funny. Like, laugh out loud funny. I think you could explain it to a non-sports fan and they would laugh. That basically the exact same time as last year, Stone goes out with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put him on LTIR, and they have the money now to, with retention, trade for Noah Hannafin and Tomas Hertl. And in game one of the playoffs, where the salary cap goes away, Stone gets activated. He scores. Hannafin has 2 assists. Hertl has a goal. I mean, it was pure comedy that all 3 of them had to do with Vegas winning that first game of the series. I was just, it is laugh out loud funny, in my opinion.
And they didn't play that good, really.
No, but
They
they
had
have
15
so much
shots the
depth.
entire game.
They have so much depth that they can just be scary, and they have that intimidation factor. And, you know, they're on the road, so they stole home ice back. Now they'll go back to Vegas at minimum 1-1. It could be 2-0. I picked Dallas, too, and I'll tell you why I picked Dallas. They are just as deep as Vegas. They are just as deep, and it's a coin flip, and I went with Dallas. I mean, they have Robertson and Hintz, and, you know, that's like their middle wave of forwards. Wyatt Johnston and Stankoven. That's like their new wave of forwards.
Yep.
Then they have the old guard with guys like Ben and Sagan and Pavelski. Frank, Crosby and Ovechkin came in the league in the same year, the year after the lockout, 05-06. They're second and third in playoff goals since then.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who's first?
Tell me it's something like Jason Robertson or something.
Joe Pavelski.
I was going to say, it's got to be somebody older, or it has to be, but...
But Crosby and Ovechkin, they're like the 2 pillars of the league since 05-06. Yeah, now it's probably Matthews and McDavid. But, like, for 10 years, 15 years, Crosby versus Ovechkin, Washington, Pittsburgh. It was shoved down our throats for how many years? They're 2 and 3 in playoff goals. Both of them won the Stanley Cup. And Joe Pavelski,
that's crazy,
is number 1 in playoff goals since
Not surprising,
then.
though.
It's really not when you think about it. I just told you how many times did San Jose make the playoffs. They're definitely one of the 50 teams.
Yeah, because
I would bet my life on it. And then he goes to Dallas, and they basically become the Sharks.
Because the Hawks played the Sharks a couple times in the playoffs, and
yeah,
I don't know if it might have been the Western Conference Finals in 2010.
That was pre-2011, where the 50 games don't count. But the Sharks,
okay.
But Joe Pavelski's Sharks,
2007 for some reason.
But Joe Pavelski's Sharks still played the Hawks, and he scored goals in that series, guaranteed. And the fact that he's up there with like two of the greatest goal scorers and players in NHL history in playoff goals, he's above them actually. The Sharks were so good for so long, and now he's on Dallas. They're as deep as anyone. Miro Heiskanen's a dog. Ryan Suter's good for the playoffs. Ottinger, like to see him play better. I feel that way about every goalie right now.
We've
Outside
seen
of
Ottinger play good in the playoffs too.
we've seen him play great in the playoffs. The problem, like coming into the year, I think we agreed that Ottinger, Sorokin, Shesterkin, Saros, and Vasilevsky were the 5 best goalies in the NHL. Well, Vasilevsky was hurt for the first month. He was pretty good for most of the season, but not like his Vezina winning self. Saros had a down year, although still good. He had a down year. I think he had like a 906 save percentage, which is still above league average or about league average. Sorokin down year. Ottinger down year. Maybe it's just the goalies all suck, and like it's because of the way the game is played, and the standards need to be lowered a little bit. Possibly could be a thing that I'm starting to possibly think is something that we might need to do. But man, Dallas is so deep, and the fact that they lost game 1, it's probably not going to sit well with them. I expect a better effort in the next game. But yeah, Vegas, baby, what a team they are.
Yeah, if realistically, if you're giving up 15 shots a goal per game and you got the ceiling that Jake Ottinger has, you should not be giving up more than 1 or 2 goals. He gave up 4. He's got to be better. And if he plays better, I think the series is going to flip very quickly because Dallas really did not play that bad of a game.
No, they didn't. They didn't at all. It's like I said, it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a war between these two teams as they try to get it going. And I am worried for both of them because Biz brought up a good point. Will the winner of the series be so beat up by the time they reach the following series that like the winner will be able to take advantage? I think it's possible, but I mean, it's not like a guarantee at all.
Right.
I'm trying to think, would it be
I think it's Colorado and the Jets, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that the winner of that's going to be feeling good about themselves. So like I don't know, man, but that might be a series where the two teams beat the crap out of each other either. It's the other side that I think you know, I talked about my oil. We'll get to that. But Vegas Dallas, I mean, what a
Fun
matchup
series.
this is in the first round. It's a treat. It's a true treat. Like out of all of them, it's the one I would expect to get to game 7 the most.
Mm-hmm.
But Vegas, man, if they win the series like handedly, if they beat the Studley Stars team in like 5, I'm gonna look in the mirror and be like, "You idiot! You dumb mother! You bet on who? You picked against who? The team, the team that has $150 million roster right now. If everybody was making their full salary against the cap." And they got Calgary to bail them out with the trade that they made, and San Jose gave them Hurdle, like, and then they get Stone and Pietrangelo back from injury. Like, what is going on? We didn't even talk about Pietrangelo.
That's true.
He had his freaking appendix out. You know they have to like cut through muscle to take your appendix out. Like it's not like open heart surgery or anything crazy, but like it's not a small in and out procedure either. Like to get your like it's just insanity to me what they've been able to do with their roster, with the players that they have, who's contributing. Wild Bill's one of the most unsung heroes in the entire NHL. Jonathan Marchessault is everything. He's Mr. Vegas Golden Knight. It's crazy. This team is nuts.
It is.
Yep, and if they win the series, they will play the winner of this series, the Winnipeg Jets against the Colorado Avalanche. Frank, it's getting spicy up there in Winnipeg, isn't it?
Yeah, the Avs responded in a big way in game 2 to even up the series at 1 apiece. I got to be honest, though, I am worried about the Jets in this series. This was another series that I think it's one of the hardest to predict. Hellebuck may win. Well, he's not may win. He's going to win the Vezina this year. But come playoff hockey, you could partially throw all that out the window. It's a completely different game. He's given up 10 goals between both games. And if you get into a shootout with the Colorado Avalanche, the Avalanche are going to come out on top 9 out of 10 times. That one time being game 1 when the Jets won 7-6. But the headliner of this series coming into it was Jets defense versus Avs offense. Georgiev rebounded very well, right? You don't have the goaltending edge in this one on paper. So in a performance like he played in game 2, you get that out of him. That goes a long way. Cale Makar has been the best player in the series, in my opinion, by far. When Cale Makar is playing as at high of a level he is, it's going to be hard to win games. And shout out to Zach Parise for scoring the game-winning goal yesterday. But you can't get in a shootout with the Colorado Avalanche. You're not going to win that game. This Jets team was built on goaltending and defense, and if you can't contain the Colorado offense and you're forced to get in a shootout with them, you're going to lose this game easy or lose a series easy.
100%. And, Frank, right when we found out that Jonathan Drouin, who played in Game 82, the Avalanche wanted to play, and I respect Bednar for his guys being like, no, we want to play. The rust versus rest argument, it comes up every single year, no matter what, especially in hockey. He got hurt in Game 82 in a basically meaningless game, but you know what? McKinnon was playing, Rantanen was playing. Like, these guys, they want to play. They want to be ready for the playoffs. I respect it. Shit happens sometimes. But right when they announced that injury, I tweeted it. Zach Parise needs to be on the first line with Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. And Bednar did it. He did it. And
he heard you.
It paid a little bit of dividends in the first game. I mean, that line was fire. But in the second game, man, the fact that Zach was he did exactly what Zach does best every year, no matter what. Now, he's not producing at the rate that he did when he was in his, early 30s, late 20s, like when he was a star. But for being 39 years old and to be able to just be hard on the forecheck and take advantage of the Hellebuck turnover, fine, because he went behind the net to play the puck. Steve Dangle always says, I want my goaltenders to tend the goal. Hellebuck did not tend the goal for 5 seconds. He left it. He went to play the puck, turnover behind the net, and Zach Parise on a second chance gets it done. And hey, he's got the game-winning goal. The Colorado Avalanche tie the series. He's one of those veterans, and like, he'd get the cup first for sure.
Mm-hmm.
From, I don't know who they would hand it to if Landeskog isn't available. Bettman would probably just give it to McKinnon, then McKinnon would hand it off to Zach Parise. But it would be a really cool story. It's already a really cool story. He thought about retiring. He's back. But the Avalanche as a whole, man, they're deep. Cale Makar is the best player in this series so far. He's dancing all over the place. He elevates. He's probably one of the greatest defensemen who ever lived in the regular season already. And he's taken it to another level in the playoffs. I think he's third in points per game in the playoffs all time for a defenseman. And it's just amazing. Watching him skate, is so beautiful. And it almost like it could put a tear in your eye, like watching a beautiful figure skater. Like, it is just marvelous to watch him skate. He is perfect. He is a perfect hockey player. I would take him second overall in a draft of the NHL.
Very interesting, VP.
Got anything on Winnipeg? I mean, the whiteout, dude.
I love the whiteout. It's like Penn State. Penn State does the same thing with the whiteout.
Yep.
It's just, it's beautiful. I've always loved that.
Does it bug you a little bit that the Jets don't get to wear white at home?
No.
Because there's a lot of discourse about that online.
No, I like that. I like that they don't wear white as well. I think it's like, give it to the fans. Let the fans bring the energy. Like, I don't think they have to. Because then it looks a little weird. Like, everything's white.
They did wear white when the whiteout first started.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed that.
Well, the league changed it where teams wear color at home.
But you could wear white, right? Isn't that like I've seen it before.
It's like a special occasion when that happens. Like the reverse retros or a like a ceremony. I think when the Devils retired Patrick Eliash's number, it was white. So, the banner's white, so they wore white at home that game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Devils changed the look of all 5 of their retired numbers are the white jersey. They modeled it after the white jersey. If Hughes and Heischer go on to be retired number level players, I wonder if it would be red, because those players wore red at home. Those other players that are all retired mostly wore white at home.
So it should be you can't choose what jerseys you want to wear.
Not like the NBA. I
I
think
hate that
standard you have to wear the colors of the home team.
because like the NBA, they have a whole bunch of different jerseys. That's what I love.
Yeah, the NBA, the home team just picks whatever they want.
That's not like that in hockey.
No, I
I
think
always
you have
thought
to like request to, like when your reverse retros were white, because the other team has to pack a home jersey then when they hit the road.
right.
So like, yeah,
It's silly. But no, I like that they wear color at home for the Jets. They don't need to be part of the whiteout.
I like it too. There are a lot of people that don't. That's why I was curious on your opinion of it. But I'm
No,
like, either way, whether you like it or hate it, they're not going to change a tradition that they've had forever because the team can't wear white at home anymore.
right.
Like
I
that's just not going to happen.
I think it'd be cool to take it in one day live, go to a
Me too.
Winnipeg Jets game.
A
I think that'd
playoff
be
game.
I think that'd be such a cool experience.
Yes, I agree. It's on my bucket list.
Me too.
I want to go to every stadium, but Winnipeg, I specifically want it to be a playoff game.
Yeah,
The rest of them don't all have to be playoff games. Winnipeg, I specifically want it to be a playoff
yeah,
game.
I agree.
All right, Frank, let's move on to the other side. The Nashville Predators are taking on the Vancouver Canucks. It's not so far the most exciting series of them all. But the first game was a little bit. Nashville had a lead early. Vancouver kind of looked like crop. And then in the third period, they took back the lead. Quinn Hughes had a big third, and they got it done, take a 1-0 series lead. Then the following game, Nashville gets out to a big lead, a 3-0 lead. And unlike the other team that had a 3-0 lead in a game too, Nashville Predators did not blow it. The Canucks did end up getting one, but the Predators ended up holding on for the 4-1 victory. The series is now tied at 1, heading back to Nashville.
Yeah, 1-1 in the series, and I got a comment here. I think the Canucks are lucky that this series ain't 2-0 Predators. I think the Predators played better in game 1, but didn't escape with the win. They were up and the Canucks rallied, and they did the same thing in game 2, except there was no rally by the Canucks this time. Now the series flips to Nashville, and they could really, really take a meaty hold on this series if they could escape with both wins in Nashville. The thing about the Predators, they scored 6 goals in the series so far, and each goal was by a different player. Everyone's getting a bite of the cookie. It's like, come on, you want a bite? You want a different goal score on every goal, which is what you want to see from a playoff team, right? And goals are at a premium in this series. Neither team generates a lot of shots on goal. So when you get a goal, it's a huge goal. There's only been one power play goal out of 14 power play opportunities, hence why they're so, like, these goals are so precious. So in this series, you're going to have to take advantage whenever it's possible. And this is new ground for the Canucks being in the postseason with no experience, right? The Predators have more playoff experience. And based off what I've seen so far, that could be the downfall of the postseason for the Canucks. The other thing that doesn't help is that Demko can miss the entire series, which, if that's the case, you can wrap up the season for the Canucks, right? Casey DeSmith just not going to win you a series versus the Predators. You wouldn't think. Saros versus DeSmith, I think we know where that's going to lead. But Demko's a huge loss for the Canucks. Even with Demko, there was shades of doubt in my mind picking the Canucks on the podcast and picking them in the bracket because, like, I think the Predators are dangerous. They could win this series, and they're going to be the favorite to win this series if Demko doesn't come back.
Absolutely. I picked Vancouver as well, but I like what I'm seeing from Nashville. In fact, I don't just like it. I like it. I love it. I want some
That song
more
pissed me
of it.
off in the
I
playoffs.
try so hard. I can't rise above it. Don't know what it is, but that little girl's loving, but I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Get ready for the catfish, big boy. Get ready for the catfish. They're coming.
Could happen.
They're coming. I'm leaning towards Nashville the rest of the way. I picked Vancouver. I'll stick with it. I'll eat it. I'll eat it as a loss
I agree.
if I don't get it. But
I'm
Nashville,
leaning
man.
Nashville.
Philip Forsberg could now be one of the most underrated players in the NHL. I mean, he flirted with 50. That hat trick at the end of the season to get him in the late 40s. I mean, He absolutely is one of the best. Remember how they got him?
Philip Forsberg?
Yeah. I'll never forget it. They traded Martin Erat to the Washington Capitals 1-for-1 for Philip Forsberg.
Whew.
What a trade for. I mean, Washington ended up winning the cup, and Nashville hasn't, but they've been to a cup. But man, like talking 2017, 2018, 2019, he was still, he might have not been like what he is right now, but he was a good player early in his career when he was a youngster.
Yeah.
Top 3 mustache in the league, too.
Oh, yeah, he's got a great mustache.
Yeah. Your hatred for the Predators flows through you.
Well, I mean, do you blame me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't get it for the Hawks.
What do you mean, dude? It was
Like,
so
it's
annoying
just
every
not,
year.
it's
They
not,
bounced them in 2016. It's just I hate them.
but it's not the Blues and it's not the Red Wings. It's just, it can't get to
But
that level.
it doesn't matter. But we played them so much, and they're a division rival, and I hate them. It's just the way it is.
I guess the Devils have one comparable. There are probably people that would compare it to like the Hurricanes for the Devils.
It's just annoying.
I get it. You like it, you love it, you want some more of it. You try so hard, but you can't rise above it.
The Preds are my least favorite team in the Central Division. Honestly.
What about the NHL? Don't tell me.
Probably.
I was gonna say because even though Detroit, it
I
almost
don't
seems like Detroit.
I don't mind Detroit, and I don't mind St. Louis. It's when St. Louis is good if they piss me off.
Yeah, I get that. It kind of Detroit.
I have no hatred for Detroit like other people do.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I guess you could say at this point, most of your hockey watching life, they weren't even in the same conference.
I mean, it's fine. It's
Like, how old
new.
were you in 2014?
16.
17, 16? Yeah. And like from 0 to 16, did you care that much about Detroit? Maybe in 2013, people had like a hatred for them.
I was sad when Detroit left because I like the rivalry.
Me too. I like the rivalry too. It seems like there's almost a respect now between the two franchises.
But
Original
it's like,
6.
the Preds are just annoying more than the Blues. Like, and then they did the keep the red out. They wouldn't sell tickets to Blackhawks fans. Like, that's just, come on, grow up.
I agree with that. That's crazy. I want more
Grow up.
people. I want more people to like hockey. So like,
If you had a zip code in Chicago, you couldn't buy a ticket. Grow up. Come
yeah,
on. Like,
that
I
is
just hate
dumb.
the whole organization.
Yeah, that is dumb. I hate that, but I love Nashville itself. That is some of the most fun I've ever had. And I've done it twice, and I did not get old. Normally, when you visit a place a second time, it doesn't quite have that like same feel the second time. I imagine Vegas is like that. I got to get there first before I could talk about getting there a second time. But Nashville, I've been there twice, and I can't wait to go back. It never gets old. I love visiting Nashville.
Good food trucks, huh?
The Euro truck, dude. You're gonna bring me down the path of the Euro truck?
I gotta.
Dude, the Euro truck, those Euro fries, it's some of the best like truck food I've ever had. And it was just right outside the Airbnb. Nashville's very hilly too, so when you do a lot of walking, it is kind of like hard, like you're out of breath a little bit. You get a little sweaty, especially it's the north end of the deep south, I would say. It's the Minnesota of the deep south, but still, it gets pretty hot. I mean, I love Nashville. Broadway is one of the most fun places. It's the street. It's like the strip. It's one of the most fun places you could go in the United States. Right now, it's 3:45 on a Wednesday in the middle of April. Right now, that street is bumping. Right now. It is awesome. I love Nashville. From Tootsie's to Tim McGraw's to frickin' wherever. Prince's, Hattie B's for some chicken. I mean, oh my God. Nashville rules. It's almost making me root for the Predators going forward. But I got to root for Quinn.
Disgusting.
I could confirm that Jack and Quinn are watching the series cheering on their brother from their house in Michigan.
I guess they won't be going to the playoffs.
Man, it is what it is. It's going to be really funny when they get Celebrini. And then the winner of this series will play the winner of my Edmonton Oilers and your Los Angeles Kings.
You flip-flopper.
How am I a flip-flopper, dude?
You've admitted it, that you flopped on the Oilers earlier.
You know what, Frank? you could probably take some of this advice, okay? Every now and again, you're presented with new information that is allowed to change your opinion about something. When the
Gotta ride
Oilers
and die.
stunk and they fired, now I'm drawing a blank on his name, the head coach. Woodcroft, Jay
Yeah,
Woodcroft.
there you go.
I wouldn't mind if the Devils hired him because he has a speed system, and the Devils would love to have that. If they fired Woodcroft and they bring in Knobloch, and they add a little defense to their game a little bit, but still allowing McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and all them to do their thing, and they turned it around. They turned it around. I thought they were toast by the end of November. I did, and they turned it. They won the Heritage Classic, which feels like 100 years ago. Do you
It
remember
does.
that against
It really does.
the Calgary Flames?
Yeah.
They won that game. It snapped a 6-game losing streak. Then they lost 5 more after that, or it snapped like a 4-game. They won like 1 game out of 9 or 8 in that stretch, and it was the Heritage Classic. And the Calgary Flames, they didn't bounce back. They were in the same boat. They were like, "Oh, the winner of this game is going to bounce back." The Oilers did, but not right away. And it took some time, and they got it going. McDavid, he was injured. He had like 13 points in his first 12 games, which is over point per game, but it's not McDavid numbers. So it really speaks to his second half of the season. Something wasn't right with him early. He ended up having 100 assists. Leon Draisaitl over 100 points, and boy, are they going already in the playoffs. That first game, they have a 1-0 series lead over the Los Angeles Kings, and they dominated the performance. All the big boys came up to play. Draisaitl had a goal. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he missed a wide open net. Should have been a sure goal, and then he comes back later and scores. He shook it off quickly and got the goal. Hyman had one. McDavid had 5 points. In the last 25 years, how many players in the league had 5 assists in 1 game in the playoffs?
None.
1, Connor McDavid.
Well, besides him, I thought.
Yeah, 0 other than McDavid.
Yeah.
The run that he's on right now, Edmonton looks dangerous. Skinner's playing awesome. Their power play is one of the prettiest things I've ever seen.
It's
It is marvelous. Like, if you're trying to get somebody into hockey, have them watch highlights of Edmonton's top unit. Like, it's probably the greatest 5-man unit in the league based on talent. I don't think they had the number 1 power play this year on percentage.
No,
They might have, though. It was
no,
Tampa.
it was Tampa. And
were they 2, though?
No, they weren't 2. I think it was the Bruins number 2.
Well, they were really good. And
they probably were top 5.
Yeah, and last year they were historically good. But when you have McDavid and Draisaitl, the 2 greatest drivers of play you could possibly ask for, and Draisaitl's got a cannon of a shot in addition to his great playmaking. Zach Hyman's probably the best net front guy in the NHL right now, in terms of creating greasy garbage goals. And then Bouchard on the point has a cannon. Makar and Quinn Hughes are the best playmaking defensemen in the NHL. Roman Yossi's probably third, but Bouchard probably has the most booming slap shot from the point. Makar probably has the best wrist shot too, but the best slap shot, which is probably more important on a power play than a wrist shot, is a hard slap shot for guys to take advantage of with their playmaking and rebound chances. Bouchard's probably top of the hill right now, and then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is just like that middleman to buzz around, play in the bumper position, do whatever he needs to do on the power play. It is just incredible. Edmonton is off and running right now.
Yeah, and the Kings are the only team in the playoffs that I think you're on glue if you think they could win the series. Not you specifically, but anybody. Any other team I'll hear an argument for, but the Kings proved to me in game 1 why I thought that. Doesn't even have to do with the fact that the Oilers' offense is 10 times more important than that. McDavid gets 5 assists a game, whatnot. That's not the sole reason. Like, I don't think the Kings did enough in the offseason or at the deadline to solidify this team for the postseason. I don't love their goaltending duo in Rittich and Talbot. They're good. They're good. It's not playoff contending duo. I wouldn't like that. They can't stay out of the penalty box, and we just talked about why that's trouble when you're playing the Edmonton Oilers. They had the number 1 power play last season, and that was the Kings' demise, is not being able to stay out of the penalty box. They scored 3 power play goals in game 1 out of 4 chances, 75% in game 1. It's going to burn you. It's going to burn you with this team. And the thing with the Kings is they remind me, I guess you could take this as a compliment if you're a Kings fan, but I don't mean this in a good way, really. But the Kings remind me of a poor version of the Carolina Hurricanes, where they play more of a defensive-minded game, except they don't have the offensive firepower to back up the defense, which was non-existent in game one when you play the Oilers. Zach Hyman, a beast in game one. Once again, I have a problem with the way Stuart Skinner plays in the postseason. We saw it through the first game. Hopefully, we don't see trends and shades of last year. That was their demise, and I said that last year, and I'll say it again this year. The Oilers have the offense to outscore their opponents each night, which is why we never talk about Stuart Skinner's performance in the playoffs. But you can't be letting up 4 or 5 goals a game in the postseason and expect the Oilers to score 7 or 8 goals. When you play a team that won't allow 5, 6, or 7 goals, Skinner and the Oilers, they may crack a little bit. That's my biggest and really only problem with the Oilers. And that needs to change, or we're going to see what happened last year. I'm just want to ask once. Pray to the hockey gods. Just once, I want to see the Oilers win a 6-1 game or a 7-2 game. I don't, just because you score a lot of goals doesn't mean you got to give up a boatload either. You can make fun of me all you want or think I'm crazy to say that, but if that doesn't change, they're dead. The Oilers are dead going forward because they're going to play a team that has a great defense where McDavid's not going to be able to produce at the rate he did. They're lucky they're playing the Kings right now because you run into a Dallas Stars team. Literally, I could think of just about any other team in the Western Conference you run into, and if Skinner plays that bad and doesn't have that defining 1 goal against game, they're cooked. They're cooked. Honestly.
I hope they win the cup. I want it for McDavid so bad. My oil. I agree with you on the goaltending. They have to be better. I do think they gave up a couple garbage goals late in the game when they were kind of sitting back, and
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. But that probably does explain it a little bit. I do think if Edmonton didn't have 7 on the board, they probably would have been a little bit better defensively late in the third. But we'll see how it goes in their next game. The Kings, I think for me, the glue team is Washington. I don't think the Kings are the glue team. They're a little better this year than they were last year. But so is Edmonton. And they went out and got Corey Perry, who's won a cup, been in a couple others. Evander Kane's hurt, but he'll be back. We'll see what happens with the rest of their lineup. But when you have Connor McDavid on your team, it's very hard to pick against them. Then they're going to get the winner of this Nashville-Vancouver series if they end up getting the Kings. It should be a stroll to the conference finals. They're only going to have to play one of Vegas, Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, instead of having to play 3 of them like the rest of the teams.
I think they beat Vancouver. I think Preds beat the Oilers. I really do.
That's our huge disagreement.
It's
not a terrible take. I'm not dog crapping on you, but I think
unless Skinner figures it out,
I would pick the Oilers to win in 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's holy smokes.
I think it's the big boys that Skinner, like, if he doesn't play great, that's where it would come into. I think they could outscore the Predators, and I think they could outscore Vancouver.
The thing is,
the conference final to me for the Oilers is a lock.
Wow.
I'll be pissed off if they don't make it to the conference finals.
That's crazy.
I will be so mad. They have to make it to the conference finals.
Minimum. I got them in the conference finals in my bracket.
I picked them to win the cup.
That's just because I had them playing against Vancouver, and I think they beat Vancouver pretty easily. But the Preds, man, the way they're playing, where, like I said, those goals are at a premium. If the goals are in a premium in Edmonton, they could be cooked.
This is the year. Go Oilers. This is the cup year. The Canada drought ends now. The cup is going back to Canada. The Edmonton Oilers. Okay. Got to take care of business against the Los Angeles Kings. I watch the Kings win in 5. Frank, the Western Conference is a dogfight. It's better than the East. The East has like 3 teams that I think are crop. Both New York teams, Washington. Don't like them. But if Edmonton gets to the cup, I think they can beat any of these teams in the East.
See, I
Yeah,
think their biggest kryptonite would be the Hurricanes because the Hurricanes got the best defense, and it goes back to the same point I keep making about they're not going to be able to contend, I don't think, with a big defensive team.
I think the Hurricanes could too. My problem with them is conditioning. Edmonton has that forward group that can wear down a team that relies on man in their defensive zone coverage. That's just how I see it for Edmonton. If Carolina played, they are playing a bad team in that sense. The Islanders, they're not a bad team, but like one that can't beat Carolina at their own game. I think Edmonton can if they cycle the puck and McDavid's got Draisaitl and the stuff like that. Take advantage on the power play, which Edmonton most certainly can. Um, I right now it's hard for me to see them not winning the cup,
That's crazy.
but they're not. I mean, I'm never right. Just pick the Stanley Cup champion out of 16 with ease. Probably will be somebody else. But right now, that's just the most obvious one for me. I also just realized for Nashville, I wrote out every team's 3-letter abbreviation. For Nashville, I wrote NHS. What a moron I am. What a complete moron I am. But yeah, that's my Western Conference thoughts as we stand right now through 1-2 games for some series.
Yeah, I didn't. I still felt like we had one more series to go, but no, we covered them all.
Did we talk? Yeah, we covered them all.
Yeah,
We got them all.
we did. Yeah, I double checked. That was
Yeah,
wow.
we did it.
Well, we'll see, VP. Once again, we'll see how many series are going on next week. That would be something. Something if all 8 were going on. That would be insane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You flipped on Nashville hard.
I
You
did.
call me a flipper.
Wow.
You flipped in a positive direction for a team you hate.
I'm
I
just using
flipped in
my
a
brain
positive direction for a team I love. And it took me a month to do it, not a week.
because I not being biased. I can't be biased. I got to use my brain. They look great.
Yet Ovi has 3 years left on his deal and he needs 43 goals. He just came
Dude's
off
cooked.
30. He
He's
won't
so
back
cooked.
off of it.
He's so cooked.
Yeah, he's cooked in this series. All right, Frank. It's time to just let the hair down a little bit and chill. Period number 3. Welcome, period 3, y'all. Frank, I need you to update me on the NBA right now.
Well, NBA postseasons. It's been fun. Very poor officiating. The 76ers are filing a grievance over officiating. Lots of missed calls. And even the NBA came out and issued a statement over some highly costly missed calls, which is a bad look when the league's got to come out and admit that their league is missing costly calls. Bad luck, but I saw something on the internet too that I've thought my entire watching career of the NBA. It's that the officials just always seem to wait and see what happens before they make a call. Like, are they going to call a foul? It's rimming. If it goes in, no foul. If they miss, we're going to call a foul. I hate that. And I'm glad other people are noticing it and putting it on the internet. There are people calling for an investigation over that, which to me, a foul's a foul. I don't like these situational fouls. And I have a feeling like there are cases that it probably happens in just about any sport. Probably hockey the least, but like football, if they're grabbing the jersey a little bit, but they scored the touchdown, we're probably not going to call it because it doesn't matter anyway. But I just always hated that. But nonetheless, Celtics dominating the Heat. They're up 1-0, but they won by 20 in the first game without Jimmy Butler. Might as well just close the doors on that series. Knicks lead the Sixers 2-0. Bucks and Pacers are tied 1-1, but Giannis hasn't played in either game 1 or game 2. Cavs are leading the Magic 2-0. Another series, not surprised. Magic got to pay their dues. Not used to this ground being in the postseason. Thunder are leading the Pelicans 1-0. Nuggets are leading the Lakers 2-0. The Lakers are 0-10 against the Nuggets in their last 10. They just can't seem to find any success against the Nuggets. Timberwolves leading the Suns 2-0. Shout out to the Timberwolves. They're my sleeper that could make a deep run. Even though this is also new ground for the Timberwolves, they've been so good all year. What I've seen from them, I would not be surprised if they're that sleeper that went on to win the NBA championship. And then the Clippers and Mavericks are tied 1-1. That's a treat series. That's a Dallas, Vegas, Golden Knights type of series or a Colorado Avalanche type of series. That's a treat. That's 1-1. But other than that, it's very interesting. No overtime game so far, I don't believe. It's a little bit different in the NBA compared to hockey, but I like what I've seen. It's been a lot of fun. There aren't really any big surprises so far. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Have you caught any glimpses of the games? Our poor Sacramento Kings got eliminated to the Pelicans in the play-in. But anything VP from the
Rip,
NBA?
Rip Kings. I saw the New York Knicks a little bit. Had the big comeback win. Philly's pissed.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't
I
know
mean the
anything.
Sixers.
Yeah. Didn't I say Philly?
I thought you said Phillies.
No, Philly. I did.
Uh,
Philly is pissed.
uh,
Um, yeah. Other than that, I basically selfishly came up with this segment so you could tell me what's going on in the NBA.
well, there you go.
Who do you think's going to win the whole thing?
Probably the Celtics.
You think the C's?
But I'm going to go out on a limb and say if it's not the Celtics, it's going to be a team no one predicts, and it's going to be the Timberwolves.
Wow. Minnesota, Frank.
Obviously, the Nuggets are one of the favorites because they won it last year trying to defend. But I'm going to go with the Timberwolves if the Celtics don't win.
Do you know? I'm pretty sure Minnesota has the longest drought for the market in the major four sports. So if the Timberwolves won it all, they would end that. The last time Minnesota won a major four championship was 91 or 2 or 3. It was the early 90s.
And it wouldn't be. It would be the Guardians of all four. It's been like 76 years.
Cleveland won the NBA championship.
Oh, you just mean of any
market. They're big four. A big four from their market. The Cavs won in 2016 or 17. One of those. LeBron got one with the Cavs.
I think you're right.
I think it's Minnesota.
Huh.
Now, not every city has four. But that increases your odds. But like even Pittsburgh only has 3, but the Steelers have won, the Penguins have won, the Pirates haven't won shit. Chicago, all 5 teams have won since 1985. All 4 have won since 4 of the 5 have won since the late 90s. I don't think Salt Lake City they have one team.
Yeah.
And I think they're newer than
I don't know.
I don't know how long the Utah Jazz have been a team.
I'm just trying to think of teams.
The Utah Jazz became a team in 92.
So yeah, then they were. If it was 91 for Minnesota, then yeah, it's.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think I don't know. The stat I saw, it might have only counted places with multiple, but we'll see.
Well, regardless, it's
a long time for a Minnesota team.
Right.
The closest they've come. Then the Vikings play in the NFC Championship against the Eagles. The Wild have made it to the second round a couple times. Minnesota won their first playoff game last year for the first time in like 15 years. Not series, game. It's been a while.
Actually, I think I nailed it. I think it's Seattle. The
Seahawks won the Super Bowl in 2013.
Oh, I forgot the Seahawks. I forgot about the Seahawks.
You ain't get one past me.
You might be right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Carolina?
That
could be Carolina, VP.
The Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup in 2006.
I think you nailed it then, because I can't think of anybody that was.
Yeah.
Well, they might end that drought.
Well, we'll see. Over in baseball, I got a couple updates for you. The White Sox are the worst team ever. They are 3-20. It is the worst record in Major League Baseball by 3 games, which feels like 10. I would say the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're in first place of the NL West, but they're not as dominant as people might have thought early stages of the season. They're only 14-11. That's the first place spot, but no team in the National League has necessarily pushed themselves above. The Cubs are 14-9. The Brewers are 14-8. I still think the Cubs are going to be the Central Division champions. I predicted that early in the season. The team in the National League that I don't think is as bad as their record shows is the Miami Marlins. They're 6-19. If a team were to come back and like make it interesting late, I think they're cooked for the playoffs because of their bad start. Because I think in baseball you can miss the playoffs in April. You can't make the playoffs in April, but you can miss them. Miami might have missed them by their poor play in April, but I don't know. I like their team. I can't really explain it. And then same thing with the Houston Astros over in the American League. They're 7-17, but their whole starting rotation's out with injury.
They're so bad right now. Their pitching stinks.
It stinks. They've lost 3 in a row. They have no starting pitching. All 5 of their projected starters going into spring training are out.
They're gonna get shelled by the Cubs again.
Yep,
tonight.
Absolutely. And they have a worse record than Oakland. That's how you know it's bad. But they don't have a worse record than the White Sox. And then I'm looking the Mariners. They're in first place, 12-11. They're the only team. They're the only team in that great, supposedly AL West. Frank, we live in a world where the AL East is still the best division, but the Central's better than the West right now. It's not even close in the American League. Same thing in the National League. I would say the Central's better than the West right now. I don't think it'll stay that way. The Giants have been hot lately after a poor start. They're 12-13, but they've won 2 in a row, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. Only one team in the Central Division or the West Division in the National League are 7-3 or better in their last 10 games. It's the Cubs. Now the Braves and Phillies are both 8-2 in their last 10. The Mets remarkably have lost 3 in a row again, but they're still 6-4 in their last 10. Yeah. So they've been hot, and then they're a little cold again. We'll see if they're able to bounce back. But my
Mets
big
are
take
hot today.
Yeah.
They're up 5-0.
Yep, and that'll probably end the losing streak. But my big takeaway right now is no team right now has asserted themselves as the clear front runner to win the pennant in their conference. Right now, the Atlanta Braves look like they could be that team. The New York Yankees look like they could be that team, but Baltimore is right there with them. Shout out to the Boston Red Sox, 13-11. Their lineup is disgusting looking in a bad way, and they're still finding ways to win baseball games. So that's good for them. But, I'm going to be a diehard Red Sox fan this season, especially with the return of Section 10. But yeah, that's my update on the MLB. It's that we're still in the early stages. You know who's not going to the playoffs right now?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, VP.
Well, it's okay. I mean,
3-20 is rough.
Yeah, it's very rough. It's as rough as I've ever had a favorite team of mine, I would say.
Yeah, they're cooked.
They are very cooked. There's no doubt. But yeah, Frank, the NFL draft starts tomorrow. You're going to want to tune into all the great shows here at the Barroom Network in order to catch up with them with the draft, including this one. Frank, do you have any thoughts on the NFL draft?
Yeah, I got a hot take. I got a hot take.
Go ahead.
I think the hype surrounding J.J. McCarthy is great. I don't think he goes inside the top 5 like the odds suggest. I don't. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, those are the guys, if you want a quarterback, in my opinion, to go for in the top 5. I don't think I'm calling the Cardinals out. I don't think they got the balls to draft the quarterback and get rid of Kyler Murray.
You're forgetting a huge factor to this bet, though.
What?
You could trade up.
That's true. I just don't think it's I still don't think it's going to happen. But the Chargers obviously aren't going to choose a quarterback. But I think he drops a lot further than people may think, maybe even outside the top 10. Only twice has there ever been 4 quarterbacks drafted inside the top 10. And I don't think the talent is there to make it the 3rd time ever. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I do.
That's why it's a hot take.
I think this is going to sound crazy. I think we could live in a world where the Chargers trade Justin Herbert and select J.J. McCarthy. Because Harbaugh's their coach. I think we live in a world where the Minnesota Vikings make a trade with the Arizona Cardinals, come up and select J.J. McCarthy. And I think we live in a world where the Oakland Raiders make a trade up and select J.J. McCarthy. So those are the 3 teams I'm looking at. It's not a sizzling take because J.J. McCarthy is clearly the 4th best quarterback in the draft, in my opinion. But there are plenty of teams that see all of the top 4 as good. And I don't. I think the only shot at like a superstar is Caleb Williams. I think Drake May and Jaden Daniels could be stars. I think McCarthy could be a star, but the only one that I think leans more towards like guaranteed, which nothing's guaranteed when it's the Bears, because Caleb Williams will be the number 1 overall pick by the Bears. My hot take is that the Bears are going to trade up and get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Whew, that'd be
They're
pretty
going to
cool.
add Marvin
That
Harrison
would be
Jr.
pretty cool.
and Caleb Williams to the draft, to their roster starting at the NFL draft.
That would be crazy.
The thing I'm hoping for is that the Chiefs select Xavier Worthy with the 32nd overall pick. He broke the record for the fastest 40-yard dash in the history of the NFL Combine. And if Patrick Mahomes added a dog like that to their roster, the Chiefs could absolutely make it 3 in a row. I think they can make it 3 in a row anyway. But
It'll be interesting to see if they could do that.
I'm rooting for it.
Are you? I'm not.
I know you're not, because you want the Bills to win. But the Bills might draft wide receiver too. I would love if they took Worthy too.
They need a wide receiver. They're dangerous run.
Yep.
But
Absolutely. So that's what I have. I need you all to go to USA Today's The Bears Wire and read about everything that's going on with the NFL draft. We got some great stuff. I got my final mock draft coming out tomorrow morning. I'm very excited about it. Bunch of stuff today about the Bears potentially trading up for Marv, looking at the rest of the division, and they need to, be weary of the rest of the teams in their division if they're going to be successful next season. But yeah, I'm super excited for the NFL draft. I will be there.
you excited?
I can't wait. Tomorrow, baby. Tomorrow. I absolutely cannot wait, actually. I will go that far to say I cannot wait. Frank, what are you doing this weekend? What are you watching? What are you thinking about?
We watched A Man Called Otto. Very good movie.
Heard of it. Wasn't that an Oscar movie?
I
think
don't
it was
know.
nominated.
Not this year. It came out last year. Or 2 years ago, 2022, I think.
Mhm.
But it could have been. I don't know. Very good movie. We also watched a movie called Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Very good movie. I liked it. I'll see you this weekend.
Yep.
Watching playoff sports, obviously. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. Just looking forward to the weekend, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely looking forward to it. How
about you?
Yeah, I'll be watching the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NFL draft. And then I'll tune into the White Sox when I feel like serenading myself with, nasty, disgusting things,
Hey, you never know, VP. If they win out, they shatter the best record ever. So.
You saw that?
Yeah, that was funny.
That's annoying.
It's true, though. It's facts.
I'm trying to see. Maybe A Man Called Otto wasn't a nominee, but it was considered like a good movie, right?
Oh, it was a fantastic. A lot of people like it.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah, I hope everybody tunes in. Chicago Hockey Now, the Bears Wire. Got a lot going on. Puck Pros. That's where you need to go be reading your stuff on these sports teams. I got to do, right when we're done, a piece on Seth Jones and Alex Vlasic being named to Team USA for the World Championships. Will be coming out, which we'll go over the Worlds. I'll be watching some Worlds. Luke Hughes is playing too, so I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Go Team USA. Frank, I think it's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Breaking Bad.
Where's my money, bitch?
If someone came up to you and they had a gun and they put it up to your head
What kind of question is this?
and
Already?
said, name 3 characters in Breaking Bad, do you live or do you die?
I'm dead.
You can't name 3 characters from one of the most popular shows of all
Just
time.
Walter White.
Okay.
I'm dead.
See you later.
How about my record in the NBA? 10-4, 2-0 in the MLB.
I just want to know who was your loss in football?
What am I in football?
College football.
We could go back. I'd have to go back on the
It's
show.
got to be something stupid that I warned you against.
It was
That's
probably
usually how it goes. That's usually how it goes.
It had to be the
Was it?
It had to
Texas?
be the national championship.
Oh yeah, being in 20. Oh no, it could have been any of the college football playoff games.
Yeah, but it has to be the national championship, right?
Did you pick?
Because I wouldn't have done. I would have not
Did you pick
included
against Michigan?
Who was Michigan playing?
Was it Texas? No, or was it Washington?
Washington. It was Washington because I was down on Washington all year.
That's right.
Went against. I'll finally side with them.
Your record in your take record in college football is pretty shallow as it is. We're both 50-50 on hockey, baseball, NFL. I think I'm okay in NFL. Your college football record is my baseball, I think. Everything I say about baseball, the opposite happens. But in hockey, we're both pretty 50-50. In the NFL, we're pretty 50-50. You stink at college football takes.
Well, we'll be better next season.
Freaking Cincinnati. Freaking Power 5 school playing against a bunch of kids who went to Bartlett High School playing for Cincinnati.
Look stupid, I know, but hey, if they won, I would have looked smart.
You would have looked like a G.
But hey, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
But I believed in the White Sox rebuild, and they're 3-20. So,
well, it's a rebuild, though. You got time.
No, like the old rebuild. I thought the Chris Sale trade was good. He's a World Series champion, and Yohan Moncada is on the injured list, and Michael Kopech's a closer now.
I'm sorry, VP.
Yep, it happens. Can't be right about everything.
But I got 3 more picks for you today. Got some playoff hawk tonight. Got the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. What a series this has been, honestly. We said this earlier when we dissected the series. The Bruins came out very strong in game 1. The Maple Leafs responded in a big way in game 2. I didn't expect the Bruins to win the Maple Leafs, but I did expect them to win in 6 games. So in order for that to happen, the Bruins need to take at least 1 game in Toronto. And I think that game will be tonight. I love the way Swayman played in game 1. He'll be back in net. Bruins are going to want to get back into the win column after they had a 2-0 series lead slip away from them. They had the lead. Bruins respond mightily in game 3. In this one, I think so. We're going to take the Boston Bruins money line at -108. Bet to win 3 units. Got that look.
Bruins? Whoa, 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 whoa.
I knew you had something, Bruins. No pun intended.
Yeah.
We got some NBA playoff games tonight. Don't love the slate. Could be a kind of boring night in the NBA, but maybe they'll shut me up and prove me wrong. Based on what we saw in game 1 of the series between the Pelicans and the Thunder, it appears it's going to be a very defensive game. Points are at a premium. But when points are at a premium, teams tend to give their star scorers the ball a bit more and try to get those hard-to-come-by points. So we're going to take Jonas Valanciunas under 13.5 points at -122, bet to win 2 units. Valanciunas, he's a great defender, great rebounder, but he's not a pure point scorer. In fact, last game, Valanciunas had 20 rebounds in 1 game, absolutely crushing his average of 8.5 rebounds per game. It's been 7 games since Valanciunas has scored more than 13 points. And the next time he does it, it's not going to be in a highly defensive series like this one where points are hard to come by for even the best scorers. So we're going to take Jonas Valanciunas under 13.5 points at -122, bet to win 2 units. And finally, give some love to the MLB as well. Non-playoff MLB, but it's still been a lot of fun. We got the Houston Astros and the Chicago Cubs. We're going to go with the Cubs money line at -110, bet to win 3 units. Astros have had a nightmare start to their season. 7 wins through their first 24 games. Their hitting has gone soft. Their pitching's been lackluster. Cubs won yesterday 7-2. And if you thought J.P. France was having a bad start to the season for the Astros, Spencer Arrighetti, he's been even worse. He averages more than 2 batters per inning on base. And while I don't fully trust Tyon after what I saw last season, he came back strong this season in his first game, pitched beautifully versus the Marlins. It worries me a little bit more that you got this Astros lineup, which is significantly better than the Marlins, but hopefully he could get the job done. The Cubs are one of the highest scoring teams in the MLB this year, and I don't see how Spencer Arrighetti keeps the Cubs lineup quiet, in all honesty. This Astros team is a disaster right now, and the Cubs at home at this pick'em price at minus 110 is a bettor's dream come true. We're going to go with the Cubs money line minus 110, bet to win 3 units.
I love it, Frank. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm going to start betting. I think when I get paid next, I'm going to throw a little money in the DraftKings account and bet against the White Sox every day.
Yeah, you said that last week.
I
You
know.
should
I
have done
know.
it.
I'm going to start doing it. I really think it'll be. And every now and then I'll parlay it with the Cubs to
Okay.
win. Can't believe what I've become. But I mean,
You got to use your brain, VP.
the truth hurts. The truth hurts. Frank, I can't thank you enough for doing this show. It was a wonderful time, a truly wonderful time. I love talking playoffs. We got a lot of stuff to go over. Next week will be even better because we'll probably have a couple handshake lines already done. There'll be a couple game 7s hopefully ready to go. This is it, man. This is what we live for. This is Christmas time. It's a 2-month Christmas, and I'm excited about it. This is my favorite. And then, of course, the NFL draft. You're going to want to be here on the Barroom Network watching all the shows. You're going to want to be following me on Twitter at Vinny Parisi on to follow all the things going on with the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm about to put out a piece about Vlasic and Jones, and then of course the Chicago Bears, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s landing spot potentially, Caleb Williams, all that stuff. The great people there at USA Today. It's going to be very, very fun. I'm looking forward to it. Frank, any last words?
Enjoy the postseason for each sport while you can, because before you know it, we'll be down to one sport, and it'll be just a mellow summer.
Yep, nightmare fuel, as I like to call it.
Yep.
When the White Sox are good, it's great. I have the Red Sox with Section 10, but they're not like a juggernaut. I'm not even expecting them to make the playoffs. So, yeah, nightmare fuel. I'll be watching other teams, of course, because it's great. Baseball is wonderful. But in terms of a rooting interest, nightmare fuel. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you for watching. If you're just catching us now, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, listen to the show. It's good stuff. We put a lot of work into it. We're very thankful for everybody that joined. And as always, thank you for listening.